Hello friends, this is our final week of Masterpiece Mayhem for this year, and we are finishing things up with an artist we've actually done before, but there are so many amazing picture book biographies of Frida Kahlo that I did want to do another one. This one is by Anthony Browne and it's called Little Frida, and something Frida Kahlo was known for were her self-portraits, and I would love for you to make a self-portrait. I don't want you to feel confined to using the watercolors or the little paper that you got from us. Feel free to use any media you want and just have fun with it. It could be abstracted, it could be more realistic, it could be surrealist like Frida, whatever your heart desires, however you see yourself today and want to convey that in a self-portrait. But before you do that, I'd love for you to listen to the story about Frida and then do your own self-portrait after you've been a little inspired by her story. So this is Little Frida, a story of Frida Kahlo, and it's by Anthony Browne. When I was 6, I fell ill with polio and had to stay in bed for 9 months. It was extremely painful, and when I eventually got better, I could only walk slowly with a limp. Other children laughed and made fun of me, calling me peg leg whenever I walked past. I tried to hide my thin right leg with 3 layers of socks, but it didn't fool anybody. I was different, and being different made me an outsider. My father was a photographer, and sometimes he let me help him in his studio. I colored many of his black and white photographs. Although it was boring work, I loved being with him. Most days, though, in spite of having 3 sisters, I played all on my own. I was lonely, but I quite liked being separate. When I slept, I dreamed of flying. I longed to really fly. I thought about it all the time. For my 7th birthday, I asked my parents for a toy plane. For days, I could think of nothing else but flying all around the world. But when the day finally came, these wings were all I got. I didn't want to show my disappointment, so I kept the silly wings on and ran to my room. As I breathed on the window, it slowly became misty with condensation. I drew a rectangle on the glass with my finger. Then I added a handle, and suddenly it was a door. I opened the door and stepped through it. I was free. I could run. I ran and ran and ran until I was completely exhausted. I was hot and very thirsty. There in front of me was a dairy. I walked all around the building looking for a way in, but I couldn't see one. Just when I was about to give up and go home, I noticed a little door. I crawled inside. And then I seemed to be falling slowly down into the depths of the earth. At the bottom, a girl was waiting for me. She didn't say anything, not even hello, but in a strange way, I felt as if I'd known her all my life. I smiled at her, and she smiled too. The girl silently started to dance. She was a beautiful dancer, and I talked to her while she gracefully moved around the room. I told her all the secret things I worried about. There were many, and she listened to every word I said. The girl was a stranger, but she felt so familiar. We sat and laughed together. I laughed very loudly, and she laughed without making a sound. We quickly became the closest friends. I'd never had a friend before. It was a wonderful feeling. After a while, I knew I had to go. We waved goodbye, and I flew back home, away from the dairy, across the plains, through the door drawn on the window. I rubbed out the door and ran to the farthest corner of the garden. I sat there and thought about my journey and my new friend. I was alone again, but now I was very happy. I knew that I could go back and see her whenever I wanted. She would be there waiting for me. From that day, I began to paint the girl over and over again. I visited her many times since we met, and in a way, I've been painting her ever since. So that was Little Frida, and that was a little different than the other books we've read have been more straight picture book biographies, where this is more of a story about Frida Kahlo as a child and how imaginative she was. The author created this very interesting idea where she's actually moving through different illustrations that are reminiscent of her own paintings. So just something different I thought we'd end on. And I encourage you to make your self-portrait, and please show me. I love seeing everyone's art projects. And if you need some materials, feel free. You can actually make your self-portrait at the library if you'd like. We'll get you set up with anything you might need if you decide you don't want to use the watercolor. But yes, so that's it for Masterpiece Mayhem for this year. I had so much fun sharing lives of artists and some fun projects with everybody, and I'll see you at the library.